Hi, I'm Tom Eschen, and welcome to Power in Politics. We're more than a week into Elise Stefanik's gubernatorial campaign for 2026 against Kathy Hochul, whoever that else might be on the other side of the ticket. With her campaign launch came endorsements from 70% of the GOP chairs around the state, 9 county executives, and making her really the presumptive nominee. That's according to Elise Stefanik, but not so fast. Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman has not ruled out a run himself. I sat down with him as he stopped in Albany recently, taking a tour of the state to see exactly where he might fit in the 2026 governor's election. We're joined today by Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman. Thank you so much for coming up to Albany today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start first with last Tuesday, the election that you won, obviously by a wider margin than you did the last time around. You did it in a year where we saw a lot of blue in New York State and the country. How were you able to buck the trend and campaign and win in Nassau County by such a wide margin this time around?
Well, as you know, we have 110,000 more registered Democrats in Nassau County than Republicans. So it's always a daunting task to run for any countywide office as a Republican. Yeah. So you got to get a lot of independent voters, and you got to get crossover Democrats. So we had the right leadership, we had the right message, we had the right policies. I went out and I talked to communities where Republicans typically don't go. We did exceedingly well in the Hispanic American community. We did very well in the Asian American community. We made great inroads in the African American community. We got probably close to 2/3 of independent voters. And the reason we did that is because I'm not a phony. I say exactly how I feel. I didn't run away from President Trump. I told people that I wasn't going to make Nassau County a sanctuary county, that I was going to cooperate with ICE, and we have the most extensive cooperation agreement in America with ICE. And as a result, we're removing very dangerous criminals from our communities, and people like that. I think I probably got 60% of the vote in the Hispanic American community because they like the fact that I was removing criminals from their neighborhoods. So I think that's part of it, hiring 600 more police officers without raising taxes a penny in 4 years. So I didn't raise taxes, I'm tough on crime, and also I'm a compassionate county executive. You have to understand people and their needs. And the only way to do that is to go actually into their communities and listen to them. So we did a lot of things that traditional Republicans didn't do. And while some people might disagree with me on some policies, one of the things they liked was A, I wasn't a phony, B, I was compassionate, and C, they knew exactly where I stood, and they liked the fact that I haven't raised taxes in 4 years, and that we are the safest county in America because I hired more cops, I invested in our police, I invested in our firefighters, and that's something that resonated very strong with the people of Nassau County, and I think it would resonate with the people throughout New York State.
Your 287G cooperation with ICE, that's what you were referring to there,
yes.
Of course. We've seen that in a couple other counties in New York State. You do speak to being compassionate, though there are advocates in the immigration community that wouldn't say that policy is so compassionate. Why do you still think that that works for you, despite some of the pushback that you've received? Well,
first of all, in the Hispanic American community, they don't want overcrowded schools. They don't want criminals in their neighborhoods. They don't want homelessness in their neighborhoods. They want to live like everybody else wants to live in a quality of life environment like we have in Nassau County. And basically, the people that are criticizing my cooperation with ICE, they don't even live in Nassau County, most of them. They're far left, progressive, what they call community leaders, but I don't think they represent the community. And basically, they're not speaking for the community. The fact of the matter is that every community in Nassau County wants a safer community. And the way to do that is to make sure that we have a strong police department, that we work together with ICE. Kathy Hochul, our governor, she spent $4 billion over the last 3 years on illegal migrants. Many of them were criminals, and many of them haven't contributed anything to New York or to America. I want to put New York first. I think we should put New York first. And that means not investing $4 billion in people who haven't earned it by giving them free housing, free telephones, free transportation, free food. It's about investing that money, that taxpayer money, back in our communities, rebuilding our infrastructure, supporting our hospitals, and giving more money to our schools to educate our children.
Why are you here in Albany today?
So I've been asked by so many business leaders, political leaders, community leaders to run for governor. And I said, look, I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to travel around the state. I'm going to talk to people, and I'm going to listen to people. And I'm going to listen to hear what they have to say. I want to learn about local issues throughout the state. But I have a vision for New York State, and I am seriously contemplating running for governor. And if I find there's support for my candidacy, then I'll do it. So right now I'm on a tour around the state, basically testing the waters to determine whether or not there is that support. And look, I think competition in the Republican Party is a good thing. It sharpens your issues. It gives people a chance to compare leadership styles. I've been the chief executive of a county larger than 10 states in population. We're the safest county in America. And Niche magazine said that we're the most desirable place to live in New York State. So we're doing something right down there, and it shows that Democrats and independent voters voted for me and my ticket across the board. So they like what we're doing.
When Elise Stefanik announced her candidacy last Friday, Ed Cox, the GOP chair, he came out and endorsed her, said there wouldn't be a competitive primary. You just said that would be a good thing. Is he one of the people that you have to convince that the primary is a good idea? Have you made those paths at all at this point?
So Ed Cox is a friend of mine, and he is the chair of the party, but he doesn't speak for everybody. We don't have coronations in our party. We're not like the Democratic Party that had a coronation for Kamala Harris. How'd that work out for the Democrats? Competition is a good thing. And I'm going to travel around the state, and if I feel that I'm the best candidate to beat Kathy Hochul and to run the state, then I'm going to jump in. If people are supporting me and they're behind me and they think I'm the best candidate, then I'm going to jump in. If people think that Elise is the best candidate and that she has the best chance to win, then I'm going to support her 100%. But to try and eliminate competition, as Ed Cox has done, I think is a very, very big mistake, and I don't think it respects the values of democracy and our party. So I would say that to me it doesn't matter. I'm not going to make my decision based on what he says or anybody else says. I'm going to make my decision whether the people of the state of New York would embrace me as a candidate for governor and whether I had a clear path to victory.
So this tour, as you call it, it's not a campaign yet?
I haven't announced yet,
okay.
And I'll announce probably in the next few weeks. Okay. I will make a decision. And first I want to talk to people from around the state. I want to gauge their level of support. But I'm only doing this because even before the election, people were asking me to jump in. And I said, look, I'm not putting the cart before the horse. I'm not going to take the people of Nassau County for granted. I have to win that race. But the fact that I won with such a stunning result, 36,000 more votes than my opponent on what was a very, very dark night across New York State for the Republican Party and across all of America for the Republican Party. And I never ran away from Republican principles. So it's not like I was giving a different message. I took those Republican principles and I expanded upon it and supplemented it with my own ideas about things that we need to make it more affordable to live here, to make it safer to live in New York, to cut government regulation. We're the highest taxed state in the United States. Why do you think people are leaving? Why do you think businesses are leaving? So the fact of the matter is Kathy Hochul has been a failure as governor, and we need somebody who has experience and somebody who's done it as I have done in Nassau County. So I'm already a chief executive officer of a county larger than 10 states in population.
How long have you been considering a run for governor? Obviously, you've run for different offices over the course of your career.
So I would say probably at 11:35 on election night, when I found out that I had a clear and convincing victory, and my phone started to ring with people calling me up and saying, okay, now the election's over, you got even a better result than anybody thought was possible. Would you please consider, because you're the best candidate to beat Kathy Hochul, you're the best person to run the state, would you do it? And I said to them, I will test the waters. Let me see what's out there. Let's see what the level of support is. I met with business leaders yesterday in New York City, And they were overwhelmingly encouraging me to make the run. So that means that I will get the support of the business community, because obviously campaigns cost a lot of money. But I'm hearing from just regular people. They want to change, and they want somebody who has on-the-job experience and has a record of achievement.
You spoke, I think it was a statement you released to Politico, at least maybe the hours after, the day after, what it was, saying, or after Elise Stefanik announced her gubernatorial bid, that you think that the Republicans need a candidate that would appeal to a broader audience, a broader constituency. What does that mean?
Well, it means exactly what I did in Nassau County. So in Nassau County, with 110,000 more Democrats than Republicans, you can't win unless you get a vast majority of independent voters. And you can't win in New York State without independent voters voting for you. And you also need crossover Democrats. So I won in Democratic areas that hadn't voted for a Republican in 50 years. Let's take Plainview, for instance, a Democratic stronghold. I got 56% of the vote there. Syosset, Democratic stronghold. I got 61% of the vote there. So winning by 36,000 votes in a county that has a lot more Democrats means that I have a broad base of appeal.
Why wouldn't Elise Stefanik have a broad base of appeal?
Well, she hasn't demonstrated it yet, so I guess that's something that she's going to have to do, that she does have that kind of ability to get that kind of support. But I have that record, and I proved it twice, not just once, twice. So I ran against a popular incumbent. She was very well liked, and I ran a campaign against her that was very, I would say, issue-oriented. We didn't get into personalities. There was no name-calling. I ran on issues, and we were able to win because we had the better policies, and people trusted in my leadership. So the first time I beat a very popular Democrat incumbent. I've done it before. I can do it again.
I was watching.
And by the way, my opponent in Nassau County the first time out was a lot more popular than Kathy Hochul.
I was watching one of the interviews you did in the lead up, the county executive, I think it was CBS New York. It was a really good interview. You mentioned the name calling aspect. In that same interview, you did call Zohran Mamdani a communist. And I think that there could be some that could say that is name calling, because he does describe himself as a democratic socialist. How would you, as you're trying to appeal to a broader base of voters, New York City, you talk about your victory. He had a convincing victory in the primary, in the general election. Is that still name calling? I guess, where do you fit that? I mean, when you're trying to appeal to voters that might say, you calling him a communist is also name calling.
He's a communist. The fact of the matter is, he doesn't believe in capitalism. He believes in having a government-controlled economy, which has been a failure throughout history. You can't point to one communist, or as he calls it, democratic socialist, economic structure in any of those countries that was ever successful.
What about a voter that says, no, he doesn't describe himself as that? Yeah, you're coming out and saying he's a communist. Because that could be a person that you need at the end of the day.
Well, I think a lot of people need to be educated in what a communist is. But let's say he's a socialist. You want to use somebody else's term, that he's a socialist? As Winston Churchill said, socialism is nothing more than shared misery. So, you want to be miserable. You want people to promise you stuff and give you handouts and give you stuff for free. There's a price to be paid. And that price will be paid by middle class taxpayers. And basically, government will control your housing, they will control your food source, as he wants to do, your transportation, where you can live, what you can do. And on top of that, the guy's a virulent anti-Semite. And I'm not afraid to call him those names. That's not name calling, that's what he is. And I'm not calling him some pejorative name. He describes himself in those terms. He doesn't say I'm an anti-Semite, but everything that comes out of his mouth points to the fact that he's an anti-Semite. So I have no problem calling people what they are. I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm not a phony, and I'm not going to pretend that he's this innocuous guy. I think he's a danger to the state of New York, and he's certainly a danger to New York City. Let's
get back to Elise Stefanik and the primary and your role in all of this. And I think Donald Trump also looms large. That's people I've spoken to in this, and even saw with Kathy Hochul's video the day Elise announced her candidacy, saying she'll put Donald Trump before you. Is your relationship and your support of Donald Trump different than Elise Stefanik's?
Yes, it is, because I thoroughly support President Trump and his policies. I think he's done a remarkable job in the last 10 months. But people who don't agree with President Trump, you've got to give them something else. And that something else is giving them what they need in their communities. So it's listening to people and working on parallel tracks, not abandoning my heartfelt philosophies, especially when it comes to sealing our borders, when it comes to creating economic wealth and prosperity and opportunity and job creation. Those are things that I agree with the president 100%, but also offering more things, going into communities and talking about affordability. How are we going to make it more affordable? We're going to make it more affordable by cutting your tax bill. We're going to make it more affordable by creating economic opportunities and prosperity, creating jobs for our young people where they can get high wages and good benefits. Those are the things that people want. Those are the things that I've been able to provide in Nassau County. Those are the things that we need across the state.
Appealing to people that don't agree. Are there policies, is it rhetoric, anything about Donald Trump that you don't agree with?
There are things that I might disagree with the president, but I can tell you this much: I would not disagree in public with him. If I had something to say to him that I disagree with, I would do it in private, because basically when you're on the team with somebody and I'm on his team, the fact of the matter is I would never say anything in public that would embarrass him. And I think that he's done an amazing job. And if there was some small disagreement, I would talk to him in private if I had that disagreement. But the fact of the matter is I think he's doing a great job as president.
Do you think Elise Stefanik's gone too far in her support of him?
No, I don't think Elise Stefanik has gone too far. I think Elise Stefanik doesn't offer what I have to offer as far as getting broad-based support. So you can't just criticize. You've got to be positive. It's got to be a positive message. You know, why should I vote for you? And basically what I've done, creating, one of the most prosperous counties in the United States. When I came into office, the gross domestic product of Nassau County was about $85 billion a year. That was a pretty big economy. But now it's $125 billion. We have a bigger economy than 126 nations in the United Nations. People are making money in Nassau County. They're living better in Nassau County. There are better jobs in Nassau County. And that's what I think we need to do in the state. From New York City all the way up through the southern tier to western New York, to central New York, the Capital District, to the North Country, Hudson Valley, Long Island. We need to create prosperity. That's what our young people want. They want opportunities. They want to live a better life.
And we have just a few seconds to go, but I do want to ask one more. Since you're in Albany, you're in the state capitol, one thing, if you decide to run, if you get elected, if you were governor, that you would change on day one, your first 100 days. What's one aspect of the state right now?
I would immediately end the migrant program and the $4 billion in taxpayer money that could go for hospitals, could go for police officers, could go for infrastructure, and also for education for our schools. So I would end the migrant program immediately. That's the first thing I'll do when I get in office.
All right, we'll find out what the next things are the next time we speak. Thanks so much,
Thank you so much.
County Executive.
It was a
Appreciate
pleasure.
the time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Hit the subscribe button right now so you can stay up to date on these news-making conversations about the issues impacting New Yorkers the most: power and politics.